Hello, I'm A.D.Hobbs, and I'm doing a film review of Howard the Duck. And well, I've seen a lot of film reviews on Howard the Duck, and they all say what an awful film it is, and it is. Howard the Duck. Howard the Turkey would have been a more appropriate title. But I'm going to say that Howard the Duck wasn't all bad. There were some good things about it, but a lot more bad things. So, okay, I'll start at the beginning. The first time I ever saw Howard the Duck, I was 11 years old, and I didn't see it when it was brand new. I saw it on TV at Christmas time. So because it was Christmas time, no school tomorrow, so I could stay up late. And I saw the second half of it. I'd never heard of Howard the Duck. I didn't know what it was. I just saw a talking animatronic duck, and I thought that looks pretty cool, because I was a big fan of Ninja Turtles when I was 11. So I figured an animatronic talking duck is the next best thing to an animatronic turtle. And I saw it up to the bit when Beverly, Dr. Jennings and Howard are in the car, and then it almost crashes in front of a restaurant. And then the Dr. Jennings wreaks havoc by destroying things with a wave of his hand, because of course he's not Jennings anymore, he's really a Dark Overlord. And yes, I thought it was pretty darn cool, pretty cool stuff. Not as good as Ninja Turtles, but the next best thing. And then, years later, I think I was about 15, for the first time I saw it properly, from start to finish. And yes, for me it was like two separate movies. The first half has little or nothing to do with the second half, because there's no Dark Overlord, no references to him at all in the first half. The first half knows getting to know Howard. And he's not very nice, he's a womanizer, he's very sexist, he smokes cigars a lot, and he has an attitude problem. He's very mean, gets easily provoked, and he's so vain. You know what I mean? It's when someone's very vain, but they can do amazing stuff, you can understand that. But when someone's very vain, when they've got nothing to be vain about, that's pretty bad, like Beverly, his only friend on the entire planet, wants to help him, and he says, "Get lost, I don't need you, I don't need anybody." You do. You're an alien stranded on planet Earth. You know nobody, you don't know anything about the customs, the way of life, anything. So, but that's how vain he is, he genuinely believes he can make it completely alone. Okay, I'll say some of the bad things, and then some of the good things about Howard the Duck. The bad thing is that it's a PG. I would not recommend kids watch this at all, because there's a lot of vulgar sexual references. There's one scene when we see Howard the Duck working in what looks like a swingers club, people having sex in front of other people. Okay, we don't actually see them naked, but it's pretty obvious what they're getting up to. They were pushing the boundaries of PG to the limit, The other very disturbing scene is when Beverly comes on to Howard. She's human, he's a mutant duck, and she wants to do sexual things to him. That's totally disgusting. And the writers could say, well, it's a comedy, we don't really mean it, it's a comedy, it's funny. But bestiality is not funny. Not a good subject for comedy at all. It's not funny if you mean it, and it's not funny if you don't mean it. It's just not funny, full stop. And the other thing is, why in the heck does Beverly fancy Howard? He's a talking duck, and even if he wasn't a talking duck, even if he was a human, he's obnoxious, has an attitude problem. There's nothing attractive about him at all, And secondly, why does Howard fancy Beverly? In the opening sequence, we see him opening a copy of, not Playboy, Play Duck, which is like the duck equivalent, and he's going to have a good gawk, a good perv over this sexy humanoid female duck. So it's made very clear that's his sexual orientation. Why does he fancy humans all of a sudden? It's weird, it's strange, and it's very inconsistent. I know in comedy you can get away with taking liberties, but there's got to be some consistency. Otherwise it's just, if anything goes, there's no consistency, and it's just stupid. And the other thing is, here's something that's totally unbelievable. I can believe a talking duck can get stranded on planet Earth. Yeah, I can believe that. The thing I find hard to believe is this. Why is it, when he's in the diner, some duck hunters grab hold of Howard, get the whole restaurant involved, tie him to a chopping board, and then want to chop his head off, and then cook him? Now that's totally ridiculous. If humans found a talking duck, their reaction would be, wow, that's amazing, a talking duck. I can make a lot of money with this, yeah, appear on TV and all sorts, make a fortune. But no, what do? They want to chop him up as if he's an ordinary duck. That is totally ridiculous and totally unbelievable. It's absurd. In fact, the Tim Robbins character who plays the scientist Phil, his idea is to make a lot of money with this amazing discovery of talking duck. He's the only sensible, sane person in the whole movie. And yet he's ridiculed. He's the butt of every joke. It's really bad, you know. And, oh yes, another twist. When I saw Howard the Duck all the way through when I was 15, I thought it was a big hit. The reason I thought this was because George Lucas was involved. He was like the producer of it. And I was a bit confused. Is this a hit? It's strange, a very strange hit, a very absurd, surreal hit, you know. Should I like this or not? Anyway, then afterwards I found out it was never a hit, it was a huge flop. So, oh, that kind of explains a lot. Now I understand why I didn't like it, because it was a big flop, you know. So, yes. Now when I say flop, I mean flop. You know, if a movie is a flop and it makes half the budget that it cost to make, that's pretty bad. But Howard the Duck cost over $30 million to make. It made less than $1 million in return at the box office. Now that is a serious flop, you know. I don't think you can get any floppier than that. That is a serious flop. So, yes, oh yeah, something else I'd like to point out. This has nothing to do with, well, another technicality here. When Phil and Howard have to escape from the cops, oh yes, why are the cops chasing them? There's an explosion in the laboratory, the big science type place, and the cops want to arrest Howard and Beverly and Dr. Jennings and Phil. Just arrest it. Why? They're not intruders. They're not trespassing. They have permission from the scientists to be there. What? There's an explosion and cops just arrest everyone inside? What the hell? I mean, I know the real reason why the cops are chasing them, because, yes, it makes an exciting chase sequence later in the story. But come on. Give the cops a reason to want to chase them. Don't just have them chasing them for the sake of it. That's very lazy writing. That's so silly. They just want to chase them for the sake of it. You know, it's so stupid. Anyway, the chase sequence, instead of a car, Phil suggests we go in this flying little aeroplane thing, which is like a hang glider with an engine almost. It's barely big enough to fit two people in. But the thing is, why does Howard fly it? Why doesn't Phil fly it? He knows more about it, you know. Why does Howard? Well, because he's the hero. That's why. The hero always gets top billing. Oh, duck pun there. Top billing, Bill, because he's got a duck's bill. Yes, the hero always gets top billing, even if he doesn't know what he's talking about. He gets top billing. Another example of this is the neutron disintegrator, the only weapon that can destroy the Dark Overlord. Why does Howard drive the little buggy with the disintegrator? Why not Phil? Again, he knows more about it. Howard is an accident-prone buffoon. He doesn't know what he's doing. But again, the hero always gets credit for stuff, even if he doesn't know what he's doing. He gets it's so silly, you know. If Howard had some training and knew what to do, then maybe I could understand that. But he doesn't know what he's doing, you know. He's a very random character, Howard. He just does anything without thinking, and yet manages to somehow come on top. You know, yes. A comedy is meant to play about with the rules of conventional stuff, but if you play about with the rules too much, if it's too silly, it's not funny. It's just annoying. Okay, I'll end this review with a philosophical thought, if you like. George Lucas, yes, it cost him a lot of money, almost bankrupted him because it was such a big flop. George Lucas was very annoyed when 4 years later the first Ninja Turtles movie was made, and it was a blockbuster. And George was like, what the hell, people? I thought Howard the Duck was a flop because the idea of a talking duck is too ridiculous to be a big hit. And now we've got 4 talking turtles and a talking rat. What the hell, people? Why is that a hit and not mine? And he did say once in an interview that it's a pure fluke. It's an example of how the public can be so fickle. I disagree. It's nothing to do with the public being fickle. Ninja Turtles, the movie, was a huge hit because it was a much better story. That's why. So it really is that simple. It's nothing to do with the idea of talking animals being silly. If it's a good enough story, then it'll work. It'll be a hit. And the Ninja Turtle franchise, because in the early 90s, it was just a child phenomena. All kids, including myself, loved Ninja Turtles. And of course, because it was so successful, they had lots of spin-off characters. Some that were in the cartoon, some that were not. But lots and lots of extra characters. Mainly mutant talking animals, like mutant talking turtles. Like they had a mutant alligator, a mutant panda, a mutant rabbit. And also a mutant duck. Yes, that's right, you heard it here first, people. The Ninja Turtles franchise did do a talking duck. He was called Ace Duck. And he used to be a really ace pilot. That's why his nickname was Ace, a really cool pilot. And he got mutated into this talking duck. And he had hand grenades shaped like eggs, because of the theme of a duck, yeah. And he had these wings that he could put on his back to make him fly and take them off, so he could walk about like a man. So detachable wings, yeah. Except he had yellow feathers instead of white ones. So could this be the Ninja Turtles sort of gloating over the failure of Howard the Duck, saying, ha ha ha, ours is more successful. Ours has a duck and it's more successful than Howard the Duck, yeah. Or could it just be pure coincidence that there happened to be a duck in the Ninja Turtle franchise? I don't know, but if anyone out there likes Howard the Duck, they never did any Howard the Duck toys because it wasn't successful, but the Ninja Turtles did. They did a mutant talking duck called Ace Duck. So, is Howard the Duck a good movie for kids? Well, I wouldn't advise seeing the first half. No. See the second half. That would be better for kids. But I wouldn't recommend, little 5-year-olds watching it. No, be about 10 or 11. Because the Dark Overlord is quite creepy looking, And we see his true form at the very end of the film. Yeah, this stop-motion alien creature, So, Howard the Duck is not for little kids. No, I wouldn't advise anyone under 10 seeing it. And don't see the first half because of all the sexual innuendo. So, in other words, Howard the Duck would have been better if they'd gotten rid of all the sexual innuendo and they'd made Howard a bit more of a likeable character. He's not the sort of person you can really relate to. He just gets angry and pissed off at anything, really. Anything annoys him, And he's so vain. So not very good characteristics, no. But George Lucas, in his defence, he didn't write the story. He was just the producer. And Howard the Duck was based on a Marvel comic. So he just thought, comic book character, he has a cult following already, it's bound to be a hit. But I think there's something all comic book fans know. Some comic book superheroes get made into films and are blockbusters, some are flops, and some are just alright. So, you're not guaranteed a hit just because it's based on a comic book character. It's got to be a good story. Okay, that's enough. That's me signing off, and take care.